Have you ever felt like your biggest flaws are the very things holding you back from who you want to be? You know, that one weakness you have that feels like a permanent wall you just can't climb over? Well, in this explainer, we're going to take that whole idea apart. We're going to walk through a powerful mindset shift that doesn't just manage weakness, but actually transforms it into your greatest, most unbreakable strength.
You know, it often starts with a thought like this, a brutally honest one that might feel a little too close to home. You look at yourself, you look at your life, and that voice inside just whispers, "I am nothing but weakness." And yeah, it's a raw, gut-wrenching thing to admit. But it's so important to understand that this is not the end of your story.
Because what if that moment of total honesty, that complete admission of all your perceived flaws, is actually the starting line? What if this is the first real step you have to take to build a version of yourself you never ever thought was possible?
So how do we even start this transformation? Well, it all begins right here, with acknowledging our weaknesses. I mean, think about it. You can't fight an enemy you refuse to even look at. And that means staring your own flaws right in the eye, which, let's be real, takes a level of brutal honesty that most of us try to avoid.
Do any of these sound familiar? That little voice in your head that says, "I'm not naturally athletic, so I'll never be good at sports." Or, "I'm just not the smartest person in the room, so I'm never going to get that promotion." Maybe it's, "I get way too emotional. People think I'm weak." Or the classic, "I procrastinate, so I'll never finish anything important." Look, these aren't some unique failures. They're deeply human feelings. This is the inventory. This is the honest truth we have to start with.
And this, right here, is the pivotal idea. This is the secret that changes the entire game. All those things you just took an inventory of, the parts of yourself you wish you could just get rid of, they aren't permanent liabilities. They're raw material. They can be reforged. This isn't about accepting defeat. It's about recognizing the hidden potential for a whole new kind of power. Okay, so now that we've taken a good, honest look at our weaknesses, we're at a crossroads. Acknowledging them is one thing, but deciding to fight them, that is everything. This is the moment you draw a line in the sand and you declare that your flaws are not your fate. Weakness is a condition, sure, but it's not a life sentence.
This is the declaration. It's a flat-out rejection of the idea that you're a finished product, that you're just doomed to be the person you are right now. It is a declaration of war on your own limitations, a refusal to accept the terms that your self-doubt has been offering you for years. You're not accepting. You're fighting.
And listen, this fight isn't won in some big cinematic battle. It's won in the trenches, day after day after day. The mission becomes really simple, but it's relentless. Just strive to be a little bit better today than you were yesterday. That's it. That is the only victory you're chasing when you wake up in the morning. So how do we actually win this fight on a daily basis? Well, it is all about embracing the daily grind. This is where that abstract decision to fight becomes real, concrete action. And the competition, it isn't with anyone else. The only opponent that really, truly matters is the version of you from yesterday. To consistently win that daily battle, you have to get real with yourself and ask this critical question. Are you running from something, like fear or failure? Or are you running towards something, like a goal or a better version of yourself? Trust me, the distinction is everything. This is captured perfectly in the whole gazelle versus lion mindset. The gazelle runs from a threat, right? Its motivation is totally external. It's fear. The second the lion gives up the chase, the gazelle stops running. The pressure's off. But the lion? The lion runs because it's hungry. It is running toward its prize, and its motivation is purely internal. It doesn't stop when it's tired, it stops when it has won. You have to choose to be the lion.
So how do you actually put that lion mindset into practice? It's through these tangible, everyday actions. It's about doing that one extra rep at the gym when your muscles are screaming to stop. It's running that extra mile when your lungs are on fire. Maybe you're trying to write a book. It's writing one extra page when you feel totally drained. It's about consistently pushing just a little bit beyond what you think your limit is.
And here's a really powerful way to frame it. This struggle is going to happen anyway. The pain of putting in the effort is pretty much inevitable. So since you're already hurting, you might as well get a reward for it. Don't waste your pain. Convert it into progress. Demand a return on your investment of suffering.
This brings us to the most important battlefield of all, the one inside your own head. All the physical effort in the world won't matter one bit if you lose this fight. This is about conquering that internal enemy and managing that constant war between what your emotions are screaming at you and what your logic knows you have to do.
So here's the strategy for that internal war. Sometimes your own logic is going to betray you. It'll tell you this is pointless, it makes no sense to keep going. That's when you have to tap into raw emotion, your anger, your frustration, your defiance, and use it as fuel. But then there are other times your emotions are just going to scream that you've had enough. Like if you're trying to quit smoking, your feelings are begging for that relief. That's when you have to override them with cold, hard logic, reminding yourself of the concrete health benefits, the money you'll save, the promise you made.
Your heart and your head, they have to work together. When your rational mind gives up, let your emotional heart take over. And when your heart is breaking and just wants to quit, let your disciplined mind lead the way. They're both tools in your arsenal, and you use whichever one you need to achieve the one simple, non-negotiable goal: I don't stop.
And yet, for all this talk of strategy and effort and grind, the single most difficult part of this entire war is often the quietest battle. It's the one against that inner voice that just keeps telling you that you can't. The hardest part is simply, truly believing that this transformation is actually possible for you.
This brings us to the final stage of our journey, the payoff. All that fighting, all that grinding, all those internal battles, they weren't just for getting through the day. No, they were forging something new inside you. You're not just overcoming weakness anymore, you are building an entirely new mindset. You are becoming unbreakable.
The journey really does look like this. It starts with the past that might be defined by failure. A high school dropout, sleeping in abandoned buildings. It moves through that inner struggle where you're constantly talking yourself out of your own dreams. Then comes the shift, that tiny little spark where you just start to entertain the idea that maybe, just maybe, it's possible. And the result of fanning that spark, you become unbreakable.
It all ignites with these two words. You have to feed your mind this phrase every single day, especially when there's absolutely no evidence to support it. You repeat it to yourself until it starts to silence the doubt. You say it until it becomes your fundamental truth. It's possible.
And after you've fought through the pain, after you've won that daily grind over and over and over again, that possibility starts to harden into a reality. You are no longer the person who was nothing but weakness. You're something else entirely. You are unbreakable now. And finally, you can actually reach a state where winning isn't just some occasional outcome you're hoping for. It becomes your identity. And that's not arrogance. It's a statement of fact about the person you have literally forged yourself into. All you do is win the battles that matter, starting with the one against yourself.
And so we're left with this final, powerful question. Once you have fought and won the war inside your own mind, once you have conquered your self-doubt and transformed your weakness, what external force could possibly stand in your way? If there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do nothing.